I was married to Sam for 40 years. When he passed away, he left everything to his first love. Even in his funeral arrangements, he requested that she be the one to bid him farewell, as if she were his wife. The only thing he left for me was a single sentence. Anna, you trapped me in this marriage for 40 years.
Please let me go.
And return me to Zoe. Zoe, his first love, looked at me coldly and said, Anna, you will never defeat me. Do you know why you two never had children? Because if they weren't his and mine, he didn't want them. Memories flooded my mind, shattering my heart into pieces. Suddenly, I coughed up a mouthful of blood. Everything went black, and I collapsed. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to 40 years ago, on the day of my wedding to Sam. This time, when he ran after Zoe, I didn't try to stop him. Instead, I handed him the car keys.
Go.
Chase her. Chapter 1. Standing on the stage at my wedding to Sam 40 years ago, hearing the familiar wedding march, I finally understood. I had been reborn. Watching Sam, dressed in his groom's suit, walking slowly toward me, I couldn't stop thinking that just moments ago, I had witnessed his death. 40 years of marriage, a lifetime together, and in the end, he left me only the cold truth of his indifference. When he died, he thought of everyone, literally everyone. Even the housekeeper received his final instructions. But he made it clear that I was not allowed to step foot in his hospital room. The lawyer, following Sam's explicit orders, read his will aloud in advance. I, Sam, willingly leave all my possessions to Zoe, including the villa that Anna and I currently occupy. My funeral will be entirely arranged by Zoe, who will bid me farewell as my wife. Anna is not allowed to attend. I couldn't hear anything else the lawyer said after that. Just those 2 points shattered my heart completely. I had been married to Sam for 40 years. Because of his health issues, we never had children. I thought that after weathering life's storms together for so long, I must hold a special place in his heart. But he dismissed our entire life together with the cold words, a mess. Anna, refusing even to call me his wife. And the home I had worked so hard to protect, the house where I had lived for decades, she gave it away, without hesitation, to his first love, Zoe. Through the hospital window, I watched Sam gently stroke Zoe's face over and over, his eyes brimming with tears, heavy with the sorrow of saying goodbye. His lips moved, whispering tender words of love into her ear, every syllable full of affection. Such tender moments were something I had never experienced in 40 years of marriage. Even with their gray hair, they seemed perfectly matched. I never imagined that after 40 years, I would still be an outsider, unable to truly enter his world. I watched as Sam leaned against Zoe's shoulder, a faint smile on his lips as he exhaled his final breath. I could no longer hold back my tears. They streamed down uncontrollably as I clutched the lawyer's arm in desperation, crying out, "There must be something he left for me, right? I can't believe it. It can't be that he left me with nothing." The lawyer looked at me awkwardly before speaking in a measured tone. "Mister, Sam did leave a message for you." Just as hope ignited within me, his words plunged me once again into the abyss. "Anna, you trapped me in this marriage for 40 years.
Please let me go.
And return me to Zoe." I collapsed to the floor as scenes from our decades together flashed through my mind like a movie. Tears streamed down my wrinkled hands. Could the power of first love truly be this strong? Did 40 years of companionship mean nothing at all? Chapter 2. I sat in shock for a long time, so long that Zoe looked down at me with disdain for what felt like an eternity before I finally reacted. Her cold gaze pierced me, showing no trace of sadness for losing the man she loved. In her eyes, there was only triumph and contempt. "Anna, you will never defeat me. Do you know why you two never had children? Because if they weren't mine and his, he didn't want them." The certainty in her eyes horrified me. I shook my head desperately.
"No.
That's impossible. It can't be true. Sam had fertility problems, that was why we couldn't have children. He wanted to have children with me." Zoe scanned me from head to toe, her wrinkled smile widening. "I knew keeping this would come in handy. Anna, you've spent most of your life living in a dream you wove for yourself. How pathetic." With that, she tossed a piece of paper at me. When I read it, it felt as if my heart had been torn out, thrown into the air, and smashed into the depths of despair. It was a record of Sam's vasectomy procedure done 35 years ago. The words voluntary patient consent struck me like a hammer, leaving me stunned.
Ha. Ha.
Ha ha ha. I couldn't hold back my bitter laughter any longer. So, he truly despised me that much enough to permanently sterilize himself, just to refuse having children with me. 40 years. In 40 years, I meant nothing to him.
Thud.
A mouthful of blood spilled from my lips. As darkness enveloped me, memories flashed through my mind like fleeting scenes from a movie. I had been the daughter of Sam's parents' close friends. After my parents died in a tragic accident during my high school years, his family took me in. That was how Sam and I became connected. The first time I met him, he was a bright and handsome 18-year-old, standing under the sun, radiating so much light that it was hard to look away. Anna, my name is Sam. We'll be classmates from now on. Let's take care of each other. When he extended his fair right hand toward me, a wave of unfamiliar emotions stirred my young heart. From then on, I followed him everywhere, becoming his shadow, his protector, and his best friend. But everything came to an abrupt end when he met Zoe in college, and I had no choice but to bury my feelings for him. Yet fate is always cruel. The year we graduated, one drunken night led to chaos. His parents caught us in the act, and from that moment on, we were bound by a marriage contract. His attitude toward me shifted from polite respect to open contempt and hatred. You just wanted to get into my bed, didn't you? Don't think I don't know what you're scheming. Don't even dream of tying me to you forever. Though it was he who came into my room, and I vaguely remembered that he had initiated everything, I didn't bother to defend myself. Maybe, as he said, I did have selfish intentions. I thought that if this was an opportunity to spend the rest of my life with him, then so be it. But he was determined to fight against his parents every step of the way, delaying the wedding again and again. It wasn't until his second year of graduate school, after his parents died in a car accident and left a will demanding that he marry me, that he reluctantly agreed to the wedding. I knew the pain of suddenly losing one's parents, so I was always considerate toward him, attending to his every need, never wanting him to feel even the slightest discomfort. To maintain his privileged lifestyle, I took on the family business, facing the public and struggling to keep it afloat through countless challenges. But even after 40 years, I still couldn't win a single ounce of his affection. If there is a next life, I never want to be involved with him again.
I'm
so tired. I don't want to love him anymore. Chapter 3. I don't know if it was divine intervention, but when I woke up, I had returned to 40 years ago, on the day of my wedding to Sam. At that moment, Sam was already beside me. In stark contrast to the enthusiastic applause and blessings of the guests, his eyes were filled with melancholy, constantly scanning the crowd. Watching this familiar scene unfold, I understood everything. In my past life, it was at this moment that his gaze met Zoe's, and he decided to abandon everything to run after her. Back then, I couldn't accept it. I feared that Sam, accustomed to a life of luxury, would suffer if he followed Zoe, who had nothing. So I clung to his hand and pleaded desperately, even mentioning his parents and kneeling before him. Sam, please think of Uncle and Aunt. Don't leave. I love you. We can be happy together. In the end, under the murmurs of the guests, he stopped and went through with the wedding. This time, when he ran after Zoe, I also reached out to stop him. He looked at me with the same contempt as in my previous life. Anna, let go of me. If anything happens to Zoe, I will never forgive you, even in death. I smiled faintly and quickly placed the car keys in his hand.
Go.
Drive after her. He looked at me with a flicker of suspicion in his eyes, which quickly turned into an expression of arrogant satisfaction. At least you know your place. Don't worry, I'll be back. As I watched him rush out, I smiled indifferently. Turning to the confused guests, I raised my glass and said, "Thank you all for coming. Sam and I have canceled today's wedding. I apologize for the inconvenience. Please enjoy the dinner and have a wonderful evening." With that, I called my assistant to stay and oversee things, then turned and went home. In my past life, Sam was so accustomed to his life of privilege that I never dared to inconvenience him. Even when the company was in trouble, I couldn't touch this villa. In the end, when he died, He left it to someone who had nothing to do with me. Returning to the house where I had spent most of my life filled me with a mix of emotions. Since fate has granted me this second chance, I will no longer cling to anything. I drafted a detailed work transfer plan and prepared a comprehensive report on the family's assets and finances. According to the timeline, the company's next crisis would occur in 3 months. Using the knowledge from my past life, I compiled a list of potential problems and their corresponding solutions. I hope this will help the company successfully weather the storm. It is my way of repaying the kindness that Sam's parents once showed me. Chapter 4. Time slipped by unnoticed, approaching midnight, and the hotel had long since emptied. But Sam, who had sworn he would return quickly, still hadn't appeared. Fortunately, I had expected this. I looked at the red wedding decorations, which now felt unbearably offensive. With a harsh rip, I tore them all down and went straight to bed. The next morning, I was awakened by the urgent sound of knocking at the door. When I opened it, there stood Sam, with Zoe behind him. Sam's face was full of irritation. "Where the hell were you? You took so long to open the door. Quickly, transfer $2 million to Zoe. She wants to start a business." Not a word about the wedding, no explanation. The first thing out of his mouth was about money. It was exactly the same as in my past life. The word Sam said to me the most was money, and back then, I was so foolish that I handed it over without a second thought. Just so he would glance my way, I did everything I could, and he simply used it to help Zoe. At the time, I thought it didn't matter since it was money I had earned running the family business for Sam. As long as he was happy, I never questioned it. But from what I remembered, Zoe was not good with business. She was vain, loved to compete with others, and spent everything she had. She even used men to get money out of them. Yet Sam believed she was pure and devoted, living celibate out of love for him. Now, with his parents gone and the company facing financial troubles, where did he think the money would come from? Seeing me remain still, Sam burst into anger. "Anna, I'm talking to you. Did you hear me? Don't forget, our wedding hasn't happened yet. If you don't want it to be postponed forever, you'd better do as I say." I couldn't help but laugh inwardly. Did he really think the wedding was merely postponed and that I still wanted to marry him? Oh, the wedding is cancelled. I already annulled it. As for the money, I'll take care of everything and send it to you soon. Sam's face immediately relaxed, and he smiled at Zoe.
"See, Zoe?
I told you she wouldn't dare say no." When he turned back to me, he softened his tone for the first time. "Anna, it's fine to cancel the wedding. It's just a formality anyway. If you behave, I promise to accompany you to register the marriage." I glanced at Zoe. She didn't even seem annoyed hearing that Sam still intended to marry me. Instead, her eyes were full of mocking provocation. Noticing my gaze, she pretended to be kind and said, "Anna, thank you so much." Sam insisted on giving me the money because he was worried I'd struggle starting a business. I feel so bad about it. Before I could respond, Sam took her hand and said, "Why are you thanking her? All of this belongs to my parents. She's nothing but a dog working for the company." Then he turned to me and added, "Anna, Zoe's family is having some issues. She'll be staying here for a few days." After thinking for a moment, he added, "Don't worry, the title of Mrs. Sam will always be yours."
I didn't respond.
It all just seemed ridiculous. What made him think that being Mrs. Sam was such a coveted title? When his parents died, he knew perfectly well that the creditors came knocking at our door. I was the one who stood in front of him and took on all the company's debts. I sold the apartment my parents had left me just to overcome the first hurdle. Then came the problem of the employees' wages. In the most difficult times, I survived on 2 buns a day, worked 2 night jobs, and even sold my car to scrape together enough. Finally, when the outstanding payments arrived, the company began to stabilize. That was what made this wedding possible. And yet, he remembered none of it. In his eyes, I was nothing but a dog called upon when needed and cast aside when not. Looking back now from this new life, I realized just how much I had loved Sam in my past life, to the point where I had reduced myself to dust, with not a shred of self-worth. Chapter 5. I ignored the two of them and returned to the study to continue organizing documents. I needed to speed up my departure. When I came out with the materials, I heard the hum of a hairdryer coming from the bedroom. As I passed by, I looked inside and saw Sam and Zoe wearing the red pajamas I had prepared for our wedding night. They looked like a newlywed couple. Zoe was leaning against Sam, smiling with satisfaction while he tenderly dried her hair with the hairdryer. Zoe was the first to notice my gaze, giving me a smug smile. Anna, I didn't bring any pajamas, so I took yours. You don't mind, do you? I don't mind. She could take whatever she wanted. A pair of pajamas meant nothing. In fact, it was the first time I'd seen Sam wearing those pajamas. In my past life, on our wedding night, when he saw the 2 sets of pajamas I had laid out by the bed, he grabbed scissors and shredded them to pieces. Disgusting. Zoe might be in trouble and you're worrying about this nonsense?
Get out.
In the end, I had to send someone out in the middle of the night to fetch Zoe to call Sam, and only then did he calm down. I never told him that Zoe had been found in the bed of an old, greasy man that night because even if I had, he wouldn't have believed me. When my gaze met Sam's, he seemed guilty for half a second before regaining his arrogant demeanor and saying, "Don't you dare lecture me. Even though I agreed to marry you, Zoe is still my friend. It's her first visit to our house, so of course I have to take care of her." I smiled faintly and nodded. Of course. If you want to take care of her all night, don't hold back. Hearing my reply, his temper flared instantly. His raised voice startled me. Anna, stop being sarcastic. If you still want to marry me, you'd better behave. His furious face overlapped with the domineering image of him from my past life. A wave of disgust surged within me. I had no intention of putting up with him anymore. I threw the documents and a bank card I was holding at him. Here are my work transfer documents and contingency plans. The card contains all the household money. Unlike Zoe, whose eyes lit up at the mention of money, Sam froze, his face filled with panic and confusion. What do you mean by this? I looked at him coldly and enunciated each word clearly. It means we're done. You and I are finished. No more ties, no more entanglements. I wish you and your dear Zoe a long and happy life together. With that, I turned and walked away without looking back. Behind me, Sam's furious voice echoed through the air. Anna, don't you dare regret this. Even if you kneel and beg next time, I won't forgive you. I paid him no mind and quickened my pace, leaving. Chapter 6. As I left behind the house that had trapped me for a lifetime, I suddenly felt an overwhelming sense of freedom. In my past life, I had worked tirelessly to support Sam's family for 40 years. In the end, not only was I left with numerous health problems, but I was also nothing more than someone who paved the way for others, receiving nothing for myself. This time, I wanted a different path. I didn't need wealth or grandeur, just a simple, peaceful life. I went to a small wonton shop near the university. In my past life, during my darkest and hardest times, I had fainted in front of its doors. The owner had taken me in and served me a large, comforting bowl of wontons. That bowl of wontons became the most unforgettable taste of my life. I once told Sam about this experience and even mentioned wanting to help the owner open another shop as a way of showing my gratitude. But Sam didn't understand at all. Instead, he mocked me. Why are you so sentimental? If you have extra money, you'd better buy more bags for Zoe. That was also the 30th time Zoe had failed in her investments, but Sam didn't care. He kept throwing money at her. He never cared how hard I worked. Even when I drank so much during a business negotiation that I ended up hospitalized with a gastric hemorrhage, he showed no concern. He merely said, Anna, this is the price you pay for marrying me. Now, after a whole lifetime, seeing the old wonton shop owner again brought tears to my eyes. The owner recognized me instantly. Aren't you the girl who fainted in front of my shop? Yes, I've been longing for your wontons. As we talked, I learned that he wasn't local and was planning to retire and return to his hometown. It didn't take much convincing. I used my savings to take over the shop. The owner taught me everything, even passing on his secret recipe, without hesitation. The shop only got busy during meal times. I hired a lady to help me, and life became easy and peaceful. But 2 months later, I unexpectedly ran into Zoe at the shop. She looked completely transformed, arriving in a luxury car, dressed head to toe in designer brands, with a young college-aged man on her arm. When she saw me, She froze for a moment, then quickly let go of the young man's arm. Her smile widened until it nearly reached her ears. Anna, is this how you ended up after leaving Sam? I'm a vice president now. Maybe if you beg me, I'll let you work as a security guard. Looking at the gold-adorned woman in front of me, all I felt was disgust. No need. Earning money off men must be exhausting. Keep it for yourself. Also, leave. We don't serve people like you here. The lady working with me stepped forward, waving a ladle to drive Zoe away. Zoe left, muttering, "Just wait, you'll pay for this."
Not long after, Sam called me.
Anna, are you crazy? How dare you bully Zoe? Don't think these little hard-to-get tricks will work on me. You'd better apologize to Zoe. Otherwise, don't dream of getting back together with me in this lifetime. I let out a cold laugh. Sam, do you have memory problems? We haven't had anything to do with each other for a long time. With that, I hung up and blocked his number immediately. Chapter 7. Not long after, Sam stormed into my little shop, with Zoe in tow, his face full of anger. Anna, how dare you speak to me like that? Apologize immediately. If you don't, not even my parents' wishes will make me consider marrying you again. I shrugged indifferently. Sorry, but even if you wanted to marry me, I wouldn't accept. I pointed to the store's security camera and spoke coldly. Take your trash and leave. If you don't, tomorrow everyone will know how you're bullying people. I showed no mercy. In my past life, I had been tangled up with them for far too long. Now, I couldn't wait for them to disappear from my life completely. Enraged, Zoe stomped her feet and began to whine. Sam, look at how Anna is treating me. Ever since I've been with you, she's made my life miserable, and now she won't even respect you. It was true that my attitude toward Sam was now completely different. In my past life, I had given him everything he wanted without hesitation. Sam stared at me in shock, watching me for a long time before finally speaking. Anna, I'm giving you one last chance. Apologize now, and I'll forgive you. I couldn't help but laugh. Who wants your forgiveness? Go take care of your precious lover. With someone as useless as her, good luck, you'll need it. Now get out. Zoe immediately put on her victim act. Anna, it's fine if you hate me, but how can you curse the company? It's the legacy of Sam's parents. Sam frowned but, surprisingly, didn't yell at me. Instead, he changed his tone, adopting a condescending, persuasive manner. Anna, this has gone too far. I told you the title of Mrs. Sam will always be yours. What more do you want? I rolled my eyes, unwilling to listen to another word. I signaled to the lady working with me. She understood immediately, grabbed a greasy spatula, and charged at them. Frightened, the two of them ran out the door. Not long after, it was revealed that Sam's company had been involved in tax evasion and embezzlement. In my past life, the company had always operated within the law, and the worst that happened was a few investors pulling out, causing a financial crisis. It seemed Zoe had something to do with this disaster as well. Sam came back to my shop a week later, looking haggard and anxious. The moment he saw me, he rushed toward me. Anna, the company is in trouble. You have to help me save it. If you can fix this, I'll marry you right away, no arguments. I let out a long sigh. How could he still be so confident at a time like this? I won't help you. This has nothing to do with me. Sam stared at me in disbelief. That can't be. You must have a way. Isn't this what you wanted? For me to marry you?
Help me.
This is my parents' legacy. How can you just stand by and watch it fall? I let out a cold laugh. Now you care about your parents' legacy? Then why didn't you read the materials I gave you? Why didn't you think about the consequences when you chose to trust Zoe? It was absurd. Now he even knew how to try and emotionally manipulate me. Please leave and stop bothering me. This time, I wasted no more words on him. I pushed him out of the shop and locked the door. Sam pounded on the door for a long time before giving up. He must have been struggling to understand why I no longer cared about the company or him. After all, he had always been the proud and powerful young master in my life. He had never experienced this kind of humiliation before. Chapter 8. In my past life, even when I discovered that Sam would take time every year to travel the mountains and rivers with Zoe, I couldn't say a harsh word to him. At that time, We had just celebrated our 20th wedding anniversary, and the company was at its peak. One day, while cleaning the attic, I found a sealed box full of photos. To my surprise, each photo showed Sam and Zoe visiting various tourist spots, traveling across seas and continents. No wonder Sam always asked me for travel money, but impatiently rejected my suggestions to join him. Anna, your only value is to earn money. Vacationing with you? I'd rather not go. The love and indifference were painfully clear. Back then, I wanted to confront him and demand an explanation, but when I saw him, I was speechless. In my naive humility, I convinced myself that simply being legally by his side was enough. Now, looking back, I realized that it was precisely this extreme self-deprecation that gave Sam the confidence to cross every line. Today, thinking about it, I can only laugh at how naive I was. So this time, I want no relationship with him whatsoever. But the more you want to avoid something, the more it seems to appear. After 3 months of struggle, Sam's company finally went bankrupt, even losing the villa to foreclosure. That was when Sam came looking for me. When I saw the tears in his eyes, I noticed something different about him. He approached and hugged me tightly, whispering softly, "Anna, you came back too, didn't you?" His words caught me off guard. Could it be that he had also been reborn? I pushed him away and feigned confusion. "What are you talking about?" He looked at me in silence for 2 seconds before breaking down in tears.
Why?
Why is everything different now? We were married. We spent 40 years together. I looked at him calmly. It was the first time I had ever seen Sam so vulnerable. Not even on the day his company collapsed did he shed a single tear. Instead, he calmly answered reporters' questions and faced the criticism. But today, he wept like a child. After a long while, he lifted his head, his voice trembling. "Anna, do you believe in another world?" I was wrong. I made a terrible mistake. You were so good to me and I didn't see it. Zoe was just a gold digger who deceived me my entire life. After I died, she threw my ashes in the trash and ran off with my wallet and her lover. I hate her. I hate myself for being so blind.
Anna, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. Though his sobs were incoherent, I could understand that he was describing events after my death in our past life. How he knew, I didn't know, but if I could be reborn, perhaps it wasn't impossible that he was aware of what happened after his own death. Still, he had chosen his path. What good were his apologies now? "Sam, I don't know what you're talking about, but please don't come looking for me again." Hearing this, he panicked and grabbed my arm.
No, Anna.
"Listen to me. Now I know everything. I know all that you did for me. I know you were the only one who truly loved me. Give me another chance. I'll love you the way you deserve. I was wrong."
Zoe deceived me.
But believe me, I never really cared about her. I only saw her as a friend. Everything I did with her was just to spite you. I believed her lies and thought you were only with me for my family's money. I didn't know. I pulled my arm free and cut him off. Enough. I don't want to hear it. Whether it's true or not, it has nothing to do with me anymore.
Leave.
Even if what he said was true, it wasn't about one day or till it was 40 years. For 40 years, he had never looked at me with kindness. What good were his words now? I motioned for him to leave and stopped paying him any more attention, leaving him there crying helplessly. Chapter 9. Who would have thought that Sam would keep coming every day? He would order a simple bowl of wonton soup, sit quietly, and stare at me for a long time. I treated him like any other customer, paying him little attention. Until 1 week later, he finally stood up, looked in my direction, and spoke slowly. "Anna, I'm leaving. Take care." I didn't respond or try to stop him. I simply watched as his figure disappeared from view. It wasn't long before Sam's name appeared in the news. Man poisons woman over financial dispute. It turned out that after Zoe entered the company, she abused her position and turned it into a complete mess. She invited some shady friends who came up with schemes to embezzle funds and line their own pockets. All the money they took disappeared quickly. By the time Sam realized what had happened, it was too late. For reasons I couldn't comprehend, he decided to mortgage the villa in an attempt to save Zoe. But something had happened between them recently, leading to a complete fallout. In a fit of rage or despair, Sam poisoned Zoe by slipping something into her drink. The news showed Sam being led away in handcuffs. He didn't look frightened instead. He was smiling brightly at the camera, as if he were searching for someone through the lens. I never imagined Sam would end up like this. But thinking about it, if what he said was true, if he really had seen everything after his death in our past life, if he finally understood Zoe's true nature and how she had deceived him through 2 lifetimes, then perhaps his hatred had reached its limit. Old grudges mixed with new betrayals. Perhaps that was enough to push him over the edge. Still, there are countless ways to deal with pain, yet he chose the most extreme. I wonder, in the solitude of the night, with only his thoughts for company, will he regret the choices he made in this life? Or the last? Chapter 10. Sam's situation didn't affect me in the slightest. My days went on as usual. Not long after he was imprisoned, I received a package. When I opened it, I was surprised to find a painting that Sam had done, a recreation of a photo from our past life. In our previous life, Sam and I had never taken a proper picture together, not even a wedding photo. This single photo came from our 10th wedding anniversary, when the company went public. It was a group photo taken with many people, later cropped by a journalist for a news article. I still remember how unwilling Sam had been to stand next to me. His expression in the photo was sullen, without even the hint of a smile. And yet, that imperfect photo had once been a treasure to me, had kept it locked away in a safe. But how did Sam know? In our past life, he had never shown any interest in anything related to Menet, even the smallest details. But now, none of that mattered. Looking at the painting, where he had intentionally softened our expressions to make us appear harmonious, I felt nothing. Not a trace of emotion. I called the courier service and returned it exactly as it was. The following year, a stock I had purchased based on memories from my past life soared in value. I donated all the money to charity and quietly sponsored several orphans. As for me, I continued running my little wonton shop, living a self-sufficient life. Like the wind passing without a trace, my life had become peaceful and stable. Truly, having a second chance was an invaluable gift.